talking about the best melodic techno bass lines. I guess that is today's video. Let's go do it right now. Hey, what's up? I'm Melodic Kitchen and thank you for checking out yet another video. If this is your first time here, don't hesitate to click subscribe, hit that notification bell. Whenever I upload a new video, you'll be kept in the loop and you won't miss out on anything. Stay tuned till the end of this video. I'll tell you all about Discord, Patreon, about the connection, tell you about the Mixer project, I'll tell you about the new club that I'm actually opening up soon. I'll tell you all about how things are running in my little neck of the woods. And yeah, music you'll find on Bandcamp. So if there's anything you like, go and check it out. There's a few tracks that I've got uploaded there. Not everything that I make is going to go on Discord, as being the insecure musician that I am, I will always need to finish stuff, and I'm working on an album as well. So obviously I firstly need to check out whether the tracks are cool enough to put on Bandcamp, but if I like them, you can find them there. There's some cool music out there, so go check it out. Best melodic techno bassline. Is it yet another bassline video? Yes, it is, because I keep getting questions on people saying, okay, I've got this one synth to do this bassline thing. If you follow my channel, let's go into that a little deeper. Yeah, I'm talking about when you do a DAWless set, that you would actually prepare your band members. So one specific tasks for one specific box. It keeps things organized. It keeps things manageable in terms of how much money you're going to spend on your equipment. But at the same time, sometimes there are things that will overlap. Now, I'm working with a Minitaur bass synthesizer. I love it. It's dedicated for bass. It cannot do leads. They've got the siren for that. Moog have brought out the siren, pretty much a Minitaur, but then with the higher octaves, as the Minitaur is only 3 octaves high, but it goes higher than you would probably think. So there's things that you can do with the Minitaur that you would necessarily not dedicate in the bass department registry. Now, I've got another problem that I have. It's not so much of a problem. I don't see it as a problem. A lot of people say like, okay, so how are you going to use 2 bass synthesizers together? The best melodic techno bassline in my mind is one that can mimic itself to be one thing and be another. So if you follow the channel, you hear me talk about arpeggios a lot, the consecutive sort of like roundabout routine on which certain notes are being played in a repetitive fashion. It goes up and down the scale, musical scale, so it will give you a hypnotic kind of vibe. But if you do that with a bass synthesizer, then you know that there's something is going to happen in your music that drives your music forward. Now, in my opinion, bass and drums is what you would need to get that A category foundation in your music done. If you're talking about the ABC structure, as I always talk about, so A being the one thing you cannot live without for your music to stand out and not collapse under pressure. Yeah, the B category would be like the additional top loop, the extra stuff that you stick in there, maybe a lead line here and there, and then the C category would be the makeup, right? It would be white noises, ear candy, that kind of stuff. So the A category needs to be that bass line and that beat. If you're talking about a really sparse setup, that would do the trick. Now, I've got 2 synthesizers to do that one task. Now, how are you going to work your 2 band members that do the same thing? That's what we're going to get into today. So, the trick is have an arpeggio being played by the subsequent and have a bass line played by the Minitaur. Then, in order for me to just get out of that step routine, 1, 2, 3, 4 switch, 2, 2, 3, 4 switch, 3, 2, 3, 4 switch, 4, 2, 3, 4 switch, that sort of like, 4-bar predictable music pattern is with what you're gonna get after programming certain things. I will look at shifting the chord structure, or at least doing something with the timing so that it will do something else within that 4-bar loop. Now, if you're still following me, you are a wizard. Don't worry, let's head over to the live set and I will tell you on how that is going to work out. All right, are you ready? I can hear my stomach. Yeah, are you ready? Let's go. Alright gang, welcome to my live set, welcome. I've got the subsequent, the OB6, the Octatrack, a Minitaur sitting right here. There's a TB03 sitting over there, but I'm not using it today. And believe me, I'm not using it today. And then there's the Akai MPC-1. I have been searching far and wide for a sequencer that could hold MIDI information, it could flirt with the outside world, so it would eat MIDI files, because obviously if you're wanting to do a remix of some classical bit and you don't know how to just completely play that, there's MIDI files online obviously, but you need a sequencer that can eat it. The Octatrack, as much as I love it, it really screwed me over last week, and I was not feeling too happy about that. I can tell you that, because yeah, I had a parse error. So 3 hours before my show, which was like about 50 miles driving away from here, yeah, the Octatrack just died on me pretty much. Parse error, couldn't find the file, so I was not happy. I needed to, in 2 hours, come up with all different banks of drums, copy them over, take out all them loops and just change the loops over. Luckily the samples were still embedded, but it could not find the yeah, it just didn't find the project, so that was not cool at all, because I've been working on that set for about, what was it, 2 to 3 months maybe. All right, so what we have today is we're going to look at this bassline thing. Now there is much to say about how we can metabolize it. I will go to my Akai MPC Live. I've got 4 patterns. The patterns are already here. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. I have connected them through, let's go here. If I go to the Octatrack page, which is here, I've got 4 MIDI channels, right? So the Minitaur is on track 1. The subsequent is on track 2. The OB6 is on track 3. And the Octatrack is on track 4. This is very important if you want to have those 2 things work together. I will quickly go over that. When you get to the list edit on the Octatrack, first the Octatrack needs to get its own MIDI channel. Then when you got that MIDI channel sorted out, in this case the MIDI is, I don't know what the MIDI was. What was the MIDI again? Project, I'll go in quick fast. The MIDI is control, yes. I think the initial MIDI is on 11 or something, or 12. I've got the Octatrack set to a MIDI channel. MIDI sync here. No. Go out. Channels, of course. Where it says channels. Okay, the MIDI channel for the Octatrack is 16. The trick channels are 1 through 8, so you don't want to mess around with the trick channels. It's going to constantly get MIDI and play stuff, so you don't want to have that happen. Yeah, so in a local control kind of vibe where you turn stuff off if you don't need it, when you dedicate a channel to a certain thing. The Octatrack manual tells you to stay away from those first 8 channels, so to be safe I'll just go to 16. Now in the MPC-1 I have set this 1 channel, which is over here, to channel 16 here, and this channel 16 now talks to this thing. You will go into the list edit page and place 2 notes in this pattern. On the 1.100 you will place note B0, which is note CC35, and on the last of the measure, so this is an 8-bar loop, so obviously this goes from 9.1.0, that's where it is. You'll place note 34, which is B flat, and B flat 0, which means that if you look in the Octatrack manual, one is a start restart and the other one is a reset command. So the Octatrack is smart enough to get MIDI commands so you can start it remotely. Now why is this important? It is important, and I went over it a few times, but it's important if you're new to the channel or if you've never heard of this, because I don't think that it's a big secret, but you just need to know about it. Most sequencers of the same brand will just go from bank to bank, right? So if I was to go to my next sequence page, if I was to go to my pattern 1 or my pattern 2, pad 2, pad 3, which is here, what will happen is it will switch, and then the other machine gets the new information for the MIDI CC on the first of the second pattern. That's ridiculous if you're going to switch from key to key, right? If you stay in the same key, this doesn't really make a problem. But if you're going to a different key, you would like to have the Octatrack switch in time. Now it doesn't do it. It gets the MIDI command for let's go to this pattern. It will get that on the first of the second pattern. And then if you have got this one set to 4, certain tracks that I got right here, like this one, it goes, my bass drum obviously goes over 64 steps, so 4 bars. So it will mean that this one goes to say 1 chord, and then this stays on that same chord for 4 bars out of tune. So what you would have happen is you want to have those two switch in time. So if this one goes to a different pattern, this one switch. So you're telling the Octatrack stop at the end of the bar, restart, but you're telling it to reset itself. So what it will do is get a stop start command and then reset itself to the right pattern where you would want it, and in that way you can get those things to start in time. This is a trick. I think it's on the Electronauts forum. It took me a year to figure that out, so I'm finally there. When we get to melodic techno, I think melodic is the key ingredient here. So you would like to think on what is my bass line doing, right? So the bass lines obviously have to play an intricate part in order to make that stuff work. Now I've got, let's open it up. If I'm not mistaken, and don't tell me that that's not a fat sounding bass line, because it is, and I love it to death. Right, okay, so that means that if I'm playing a sequence, and there's a sequence running already, if I was to play a sequence, and I was to play stuff that starts on, say, we've got this kick, yeah? And if I was to play a chord that goes like, obviously you would hear that every 4 notes I'm switching, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4, and 2, 3, 4. And that's cool, but that will get predictable after 35 bars even. So what I would do is switch within the whole pattern. So my 4 sort of like my 4 bars that I have are switching differently. It would make sense if you would listen to what the OB6 is playing, because what I just played, 3, 4, and 2, 2, 3, 4, and then you'll go here, yeah? So C, G sharp, B sharp, F, yeah? All right. So what I have done is instead of the I just switched like 1, 2, 3, 4, So now within the bar something is changing, and this makes for you to think that there's something odd with the groove, but there's nothing odd with the groove. It just lands on a different measure. This will make sense, and we're going to play my OB6. See? 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So instead of the third step before beats, it's only 2 beats. So that would mean that if I would play the mini is going to just like do something else. So for what I was playing again, but now I switched it to, and then you can play. Let's record that, yeah? Get some heads going. You can hear now that it does something else. When you take out the OB6, listen to this. Now looking at the drums for a second, I just opted to go for very simple drums, a little bit in the style of maybe hungry music, you know. I mean, nothing too big. There's a hat that's, just grooving. Then there's a thick kick. I love this kick, but if you listen to this on the decent speakers, you will hear that it's absolutely sounding amazing, right? So, oh, I didn't even mention, there's a Strymon Blue Sky connected to the subsequent 37. We'll get to that in a second. And then there's a Midas DM12 mixer, which is a cheap but well sounding, well enough for what I wanted to do. Now, this bass line, obviously, is this the sound that I need? Maybe not. Let's see if we can find a better sound to go there. Maybe this. Long lengthen it. Nope. Crackling knobs. Welcome to the Crackling Knob Foundation. Okay. Yeah. I will just not make the note too long because it needs to sit underneath the OB6, and the OB6 is playing long notes, so I want it to just like be a blanket underneath, like so. Right. So I'm loving this because why am I playing this? Let's lower this. Why am I playing this in a 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 and then you go 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 6. Why did I do it? Because I want my 4-bar loop to have a little bit more longevity, right? Now, another bassline trick that I'm using is the one with the what did I do? No, undo here. I was entering different notes. Okay, with the subsequent, I'm playing another bass line, but this time I'm using this as an arpeggio. And this thing is only in 1 2 3 4 start, 2 3 4 and start. So it will restart constantly. And why does it restart? Because now, if I'm starting with this, it instantly gives you that song and dance with the bass drum and the hat. Boom, and we start. I can even go in and say like, you know what? I'm liking that. Let's flip around with the kick. 2 3 4, something like this. If I want this kick to play like that, not all the time, probably go in. Just go here. place the conditional trick so it will only play 50% of the time. So I'm holding the trick, put the trick condition on 50. Or obviously, what you can do, because this is not working as I want it to be, let's go in. I'll place 64 trigs, and I'll go to the last of the measure. Nice one. There you go. Yeah. Get out of there. Place this one on. Go to the last one. Place it here. Bam, bam, bam. Okay. Now I'm going to just put a conditional trick here. I will only play every 8 bars. There you go. It goes back. Bam. It's going to skip it now. See? And then the next measure is going to come back. And I'm even going to put it a little bit softer, so the volume is going to be off a little bit. Not like so. Alright, so that's the kick. So this now is very hypnotizing to me. Play around. So I can build up the track starting with this already, knowing that the melodics are going to go in a different direction. Now why is this on the same key? Do, 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 boom, bam, bam, because those notes are being played in the chord structure that the OB6 is playing also. It's going there. Bam, this a note. So it does something where I think, okay, this is nice, but it's already got notes embedded of the chord structure where I'm going. Now, but it's only on a 1-bar sequence. And then I can just build up the drums a little bit, yeah? So let's do a dramatic break. Reverb on the master here, taking the kick out. I even got a snare roll. Nice one, so you can do whatever you want. The microphone is in the way, so obviously when I'm performing, this will go. So on the mixer, let's go there. Kick drum is coming out of the Octatrack separately on track 1. And then I got more control over the kick, but the kick is also here on performance mode. So if I'm working it over here, I can kill the kick here. If I'm working it over here, or working the effects, I can kill the kick over here. Snare drum. Stereo output of the Octatrack. The first red one is the Minitaur. The 2 in the middle is the OB6, and then this is this bad boy over here. Okay, now listen how these 2 bass lines are working together. Make it a little bit more percussive. A little bit longer. It's nice, you have to get used to it, but when you're on the page, say I'm on the subsequent page when I'm working the Minitaur, if I'm hitting the filter here, both will open. So it's also a nice thing. Make sure you're not on pages where you don't want to be, because if I'm going to be on the Octatrack page, it's going to alter your samples. So that's not something you would want. So obviously that works. Listen to the strings. Bam, bam, boom, bam, bam. And that accent, those two notes, bam, bam, that accent is constantly taking you wherever you want to go. So I can build this up, play that Minitaur in the first of the bar, because if I'm going here to the mini, I'm saying, you know what, there's on 16 beats right now, which means that if I'm going in, you will probably see that there is a line over the page. So this sequence runs for 16 steps or 8 bars, but it will loop on the first because I have, you see, it's playing the same thing. Which means that if I'm going to even shorten it further, stick it on 4, if I'm playing this, now I will stay on the same root note. Let's turn it off. Bum, 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 bum. Which is nice because sometimes you want to copy a pattern over and have this play. So if I was to, for instance, start my track, and this is the first thing that I have, I'll take my heads out. And this is the first thing you'll hear in the club, right? So I'll start off with the track probably like so. If I was not to add anything else, this would be your initial bass line, right? You'll go like, oh yeah, that's nice. Okay, then you would like to add something underneath just for the low end frequencies. This got low end content, but I'm leaving it where it is because I'm loving this flow at the minute. Loving the flow. Bass line. See? And then you can shape it the way you want it. I love the Minitaur being very versatile. Then I will introduce the strings, because now I've got 2 bass lines playing as one. You see what I mean? Both in a different frequency range, mind you. This is the low end. This is the mid-range. It's not high, but it's the mid-range. And then the pads will play your melody here. Then if I was to go somewhere, now we'll go to 16 quick fast. All of a sudden, hey, there's melody, which wasn't there before, you know what I mean? Now you can opt to do it with a different machine as well. If you were to use the TBO3, which I'm not using today, you could have done it that way as well, you know? Have this one stay on the same root note as where this is. So, alright, we're taking this out slowly. We're gonna play some drums. Nice. Now I'm gonna add a little bit more drums. 1, 2, 3, and make it more interesting. And as you can hear, also the toms are being tuned to the beat. Because if the music was off, then the beats will still roll. So you can either go in like this or end the track like that. Have a drum roll. Go a little bit crazy with the right cymbal. So in short, that's how I work the track, you know what I mean? So there's ample things that you need to have. So in order to have this melodic bassline stuff work, the band members need to play together. And as I said, the drums and the beats, the drums and the bass, they play an intricate part. Now, that's why I've got my 2 red faders. Well, the caps were over here, but I just moved them over as were those. There's 2 stereos, and they had green caps. There's 2 masters, the left and the right, and those are the red caps. And I was like, you know what, I don't really go here anyway, you know. I'll just set my master and that'll be that. And I'll set my reverb returns is how I'll set it up now for the Space Echo over on the far side, the RE20, and the Strymon Blue Sky was connected to this one. I've sent it as, no, it's connected to the Sense. And then obviously this being a bass line, this being a bass line, if the kick is playing, I can just up to go like, and it gives me rest instantly. It sets my mind at ease and it tells me to go like, okay, take it to the next level, right? Track 5 here is that tom loop, which is a bit on the busy side. 6 is the ride. So I know now that 1 and 4 are kick and hat. Yeah? Listen. Right. Okay. So we're gonna enter a right cymbal, which is also tuned to where we are. Yep. I can even change it more if I wanted to. Change it to the root note. But I opted to go like up to here, something like this. Loop. Do you hear how this kick drum is constantly staying where it needs to stay? You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm digging this. Open up the filter. Oh, nice. Party time, right? I'm only entering the strings when I need to make a bigger impact. Bass line. Bam, 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 boom. Here we go. So obviously there's so many different things that you can do with this. So recapping, quick, fast, kick drum, listen to how it sounds. There's no EQ. Well, a little bit. Nah, nothing to, you know. See, the kick has got everything that it needs. Mid-range. Nah, this kick is just perfect the way it is. So I'm not using any. This should be it, you know. A nice compressed sounding kick. Yeah, it'll do the trick, you know what I mean? Nothing too crazy. Okay, snare roll. Not the best snare in the world, but it's noisy as hell. So obviously it's going to just make an impact on the dance floor, which is what I want. Not all the time, but at certain times you just need a drum roll. I'm not the drum roll kind of gung-ho happy. Let's constantly use the Uzi kind of vibe on my crowd artist. No, but I want to make sure that I've got it on standby, you know, I got it on layaway. The stereo, obviously, the stereo is very important for the Octatrack. As a rule of thumb, if you're making out what's happening on my on the mixer file, I think you can make it out, but this is pretty much on 0, and then this will go over it a little bit. So I think this is 2 to 3 dBs louder. And then the bass lines, let's take out the right cymbal because let's take out that loop. Listen to it. Now, so a bass note like this, especially with the Minitaur, you can take out maybe 2 dBs of low, around, 80 Hertz, because then you'll have a little bit more room for your kick. I like to leave it in, because it will gel the beats together. Sparse, low, high, and this is in the middle. Now your filter does a lot of things too. Here it gets into kick territory, as you can hear. The envelope generation knob is so sensitive, it's just... Here it does a lot of percussive things, but it also starts to distort a little bit. Yeah, you can feel like it wants to feed you more low, but it just can't because I just told it to stay where it is. And this works together nicely with a bit on the loud side. Nice. All right. Listen to the right cymbal then. The right cymbal is slightly lower in frequency than the open hat, but the open hat is actually a closed hat that needs to mimic itself as an open hat, so I'm playing that way louder, otherwise you will not make it out. And then in order to just like 007 my way out of that so that nobody knows what I was doing, this loop hat. And this hat is containing a lot of information as well. It's a closed 909 hat, as you can hear, but let's see what I've done to it actually. Did I do anything to it? No, I did not. Sometimes I opt to go and put a comb filter on top of it, which I can do pretty, because now there's a filter on there. Yeah. In the Octatrack, whatever would go to in a double click, and I'll say like, you know what, let's give me a comb filter. Then I've got the comb filter engaged. Let's open it up. It's nice. I like to place that on. Play a bass line, so to know where I am. Tune it. You can even play music with it. But you get the idea. You can just stick it where you want to. Lower the mix a little bit, and then the feedback obviously. Now this hat is always going to be tuned in the beat. 25% feedback. And it's playing around with everything that we have. Play that loop back. See, it falls way into the background, but you didn't screw around with the frequencies of it, so it still does what it does. You might have to go back and watch me do that stuff again, but that's just basically what it is. Now everything is playing all together, you see? So those loops and everything, take a loop out. Nice. Yeah, I'm liking that. All right, you know what? Put the beat in. Trig on that. Say we put some feedback on there. See, you build it up from there again. Play around with strings. can I tell you? That's basically how I stop. That's basically how I work this out. So in my mind there is a certain routine or structure or way on how I approach these sounds, right? So this is going on like forever. And that's how I just metabolize this thing into a live set. So condensing everything down is you're going to look at what do you want your different sounds to do. The Minitaur bass, subsequent also some sort of bass. This time it plays an arpeggio, but you know, it's like a Ferrari, man. If you're driving 50 miles an hour with it, you know exactly that it's going to just get you there smoothly, because there's a lot of power that it can do, but you don't necessarily need to use it much. So that's more stuff that you can do, obviously, and the versatility on having something dedicated to just like making sure that it plays when it needs to play something, what it does and how it plays it, is also a very important aspect. Using the Octatrack as a drum machine is absolutely amazing, because I have to limit myself. I can't stick ample stuff on there. I can use this as a looper. Yes, I can. No, I don't use it that way. And another note, it's the cable management you see here on the table. I would have sorted it out if I cared. Clearly, I do not care, so we've addressed that as well. Thanks, guys. I'll leave it up to the other guy to tell you all about Discord, Patreon, and all that good stuff. Now, how did you think that worked out? You know, I'm liking it. I'm doing a show tomorrow night. Depending on when you watch this video, it might have already happened. But I'm doing a show tomorrow night. So this is one of the tracks that I'm actually going to perform with. I really like where that is going. Dedicated drums, dedicated bass, and yes, the video's not stuck. Yes, the MPC-1 has made an appearance. I've tried everything. I was looking for a small form factor sequencer to just remember those MIDI notes, be that versatile that I can flirt with the outside world. So if I find MIDI files that I can actually implement them. Now the Octatrack is an amazing machine, don't get me wrong. I mean, this thing will be waiting for me at the pearly gates and decide whether I've been a good boy, yes or no. But in the end of the day, if you want longer sequences, if you want MIDI file implementation, if you need any kind of USB MIDI even, because it was a headache to connect all those synthesizers to the Octatrack, and it as you might have seen, broke down on me 3 hours before I had to do my set. It gave me a parse error, and then it saw the samples but it didn't want to play the samples. So playing at 9 last weekend left me at 6 in the afternoon to reprogram everything. So basically just made new banks with drums, just copied the banks over and then left the drums in the highest where they were, changed out the loops in the middle, and then just winged it. I was winging it, you know, playing with the subsequent, but it worked out well. So, but not ideal. So the MPC-1 is back into the equation. All right, now I'd like to welcome, before I digress, Tom de Rijkere and Visonia as my new patrons for this week. Thank you for supporting. Thanks everyone for supporting. If you made it this far into the video, you are an absolute superstar. Now, what happens on Patreon? To be honest, not so much, because Patreon is connected to Discord, and that is where the magic happens. That is where the community talks about stuff, namely synthesizers, the challenges that I put up. There's a Johann Sebastian Bach challenge up now, which is cool. So you can remix samples that I've provided of Johann Sebastian Bach, and then there's prizes as well. So everything is, you'll find it there. That's on Patreon, but the Discord connection, we're chatting after this video. So there's a video chat where we just talk about synthesizer stuff, about traveling stuff, about performing stuff, about everything. So there's a lot of stuff that's absolutely happening, as well as I will tell more about the club that I'm opening called The Kitchen Club. The Kitchen Club. Oh, finally, I've been looking for a club for ages, and I had one actually sitting right there, and I didn't really, well, it was there, but at the same time, some stuff needed to happen to it. But I can tell you now, yes, it's there. The Kitchen Club in Holland, Analog Kitchens Club, called the Kitchen Club, obviously. So yeah, There's a catch though, you know, whether if you play DAWless or you play vinyl, then you're most welcome to come play. If you play USBs, I'm so sorry, you know, it's breaking my heart. Well, no, it's not, you know, so it's either play vinyl or play synths. That's basically how it goes. Enough of me talking about it, you know what I mean? Okay, I guess that this is the video. Yeah, the mixer project, I'm still working on that. We have ballpark of where we're going. We know how many channels we're going to make. We know about the transformers we're going to use. And we know about the insert points, how we're going to just metabolize that. Also a thing that we talk about with the community on Discord. So you won't be breaking the bank. There's 4 tiers and it's just getting closer to me. So if you've got more questions than you have answers, I don't think that that's a good idea. So you can get in touch through that. Now, if not anything else, I will catch you next week on another video. Analog Kitchen out!